Good morning. How did you get on in the football yesterday? Ulu and KUPS. Well, KUPS testing your faith yet again. Coming from behind. Ulu scoring first. 2-goal haul from KUPS. They were leading. Conceded a late one, which is a bit sloppy. Continue their excellent run since that 5 matches without scoring. In the Irish Premier Division, Derry returning to goal-scoring form as we'd expect at home. 2.55 the favourite, Drogs and Galway. It was going to be a tough one, wasn't it? Did I say back 0-0 pre-match? I don't know which one. One of them I said. Hopefully it was one of them that came in 0-0. Shelbourne and Cork City. 1.48 favourite. Did this all change with a red? No, it didn't. It was job done within the first 6 minutes from Shelbourne. So Cork City still struggling after being promoted. And we go, of course, to St. Pat's. Couldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. Sudden inability to score goals. You're not going to be laying that 0-0 or draw at all. Nowhere near that. I think this could have been one of them. One of these matches anyway. I did mention backing 0-0 pre-match. Probably this one, given their inability to score St. Pat's of late, particularly at home. It's going to cost them a good season, that, if they can't fix that problem. Co-Bramblers continue along their merry way. Another 0-0 Finn Harps and Longford. Kerry done by Dundalk, as we would expect, although they have been in tough-to-beat form of late. UCD against Treaty United. Treaty United doing a St. Pat's, having trouble scoring goals. But Calliochi's red card in the 46th minute should have had you looking at that 0-0 at half-time and laying that draw in the hope that the favourite would score first. If the favourite scores first, the draw odds will rise markedly. Bang. Within 5 minutes, Devitt gets the goal. Your assumption being, because you've laid the draw, you're going to get doubly compensated. Firstly, the impact of the red card on the odds movement, and secondly, the 11 players scoring the next goal. So this in itself is a nice little trading angle for you to look at in the future. If there is a red card and a draw at half-time, if the 11 players score, the draw odds will more than likely rise to 8s or 9s or 10s decimal from a probable 3.5 at the beginning of the second half. So a nice, simple trading angle, just with red cards. Red cards change games, don't they? Simple as that. And that was it yesterday. Let's have a quick look at the tennis. And I made some more distinctions yesterday. We've got to have an exit point as well as an entry point if things don't go our way. As I've said, I tend to stay in a little bit too long, thinking that I got it right initially when the red screen is showing that I might not be 100% right. 1.8 and 2. We're expecting a 5-setter, aren't we? And indeed, we got that with Fuchsovic beating Gael Monfils. Taylor Fritz, your usual. Davidovich Fokina suddenly remembering he must win a set. 2-0 down to stay in the match. And then suddenly, it's as you were with Taylor Fritz winning 6-1 in the end. Well worth following Taylor Fritz. Rublev, always worth following in case he implodes. The fiery ginger Russian. But no problem at all against Manarino. But I always star him just in case he has a bit of a wobble. Cameron Norrie. This is a very impressive result for me. The first set was what I expected to continue along for a 5-setter. Bellucci was one hell of a tough nut to crack on his way to the tournament. 3-1 and 3-0, I think. Cameron Norrie, a couple of 3-2s on his way here. He is the last great British hope, with Draper knocked out by 108-year-old Marin Cilic. Thompson with the greatest mullet in world tennis. No problems yesterday. I do like following Thompson, Jordan Thompson. He is a competitive fellow. The other two I starred, Karen Khachanov. Not a going day for Karen Khachanov, but we did have the possibility of a trade from 2-1 to 2-2. So if you've stuck with the pre-match odds, Karen Kachanov does this. He looks as if he's completely out of it. And then it's like Muhammad Ali taking all the punches. And then he comes back at the end. Let's have a look at his Wimbledon to date, Karen Kachanov's. Comfortable enough against Ronald in the opener, but this 3-2 against Mochizuki, it looked as if, exactly like yesterday's match, as if he was floundering and couldn't get in. So you've got a pattern with Karen Kachanov. He looks as if he's completely outclassed. Boom, boom, and then he comes back. So there's obviously something to him, Karen Kachanov. Stick him on your shortlist. He looks reliable, doesn't he? Particularly when the market speaks in his favour. I think that's an important distinction there. Struff against Alcaraz. Well, we did get that hint from Struff that grass court is his favoured surface. And I think if he avoided Alcaraz in this earlier round, he would be going quite deep into the tournament, Struff. But as you can see, you're not world number one for no good reason, Alcaraz, straight through. Only 4 of the ladies' games that I looked at yesterday. She's flakier than a 99 with a couple of flakes in it. Naomi Osaka, well-known mental fragility, and I did mention that yesterday. This is why I star this. Potential to take her on if she wins the first set. Why? 1, she's already odds-on favourite, so if she wins the first set, she's going to be even shorter odds. 2, the flakiness. Pavlyuchenkova is not a roll over and get your tummy tickled player. So that would have been a good angle there. Cartel, superb performance. Not a moment's worry from her. Madison Keys, this was a disappointing one here. 6-3, 6-3, and it just is a reminder of why I don't particularly like playing women's tennis. It's the service game. Consistently can be their undoing. We've got world number 8 here, losing her second service game and her third consecutive service game, and then just capitulating, only not even generating a break point there or there. So the break points all came from the opponent, or one there. So poor performance from Madison Keys. What's the ideal entry point? Or the exit point if it's not going your way? This would have been an excellent start to a trading second set, wouldn't it? But then you need Madison Keys to hold her serve, having broken, which she didn't do. That, I suppose, could have been your alarm call to get the bleep out of Dodge. Take as much or as little of the loss as you can, and off you go. Because you would have been in, as Les Dennis would say, at that 3-1. So I can't give you exit points if you're tipping tennis, because it's such a fluid, quick game that as soon as I've passed it on, the reflection of the game might have changed completely with an unexpected break, that kind of thing. Emma Raducanu, first set, that's what we expected of the Brit. I would have preferred her to have won the first set, going under my plucky Brit trading strategy, which is, Sabalenka. My plucky Brit trading strategy is if Sabalenka wins the first set, because she's already 1.25, she's going to be even shorter, and we'll have the plucky Brit scenario from Emma Raducanu. She has had injury, and it's important to factor in injuries in your research. Let's go back to the football and have a look at today's football. Finnish Veikkausliiga, SJK against Ilves. This is a battle of two sides having an excellent season, playing above expectation. So let's have a look at some key stats. Let me just show you the problem with the SJK Ilves match. If you're looking at this table here, you'll be banging in both teams to score and both teams to score 2 goals 4 times, 5 times in a row. But 3 consecutive away clean sheets, did score in the last two, but the challenge table suggests these two might be fighting out a tight one. Or indeed, you can see SJK, if they are to lose a match, it's going to be against the top six. If Ilves lose, 3 of their 4 defeats have come against the top six, 2 of them away. They did beat KUPS home and away, but we may have a question mark over one of those matches if it was in that run where KUPS failed to score. SJK, you'll see 2 of their 2 defeats at home against the top 3 were 1-0. They stand out here, the Ilves 2-3. Are we going to go with a head-to-head? Because you'll see the vast majority of these both teams to score 2 goals occurs against 6th and lower. Here as well for Ilves, generally speaking, at home is where they fix their 2 goals and away against 7th and lower. Question mark against the top 4. Head-to-head's telling you to back 2-3 and 3-2, particularly with the recent reputations. But it's what I call a derby-style match, top 4 play. Very difficult to unpack. Let's take a look at VPS and HJK, and I'll do a walkthrough for you today, just to show you what kind of elements I look for in the research. So I'll actually do the research while I'm doing this. So you'll see what I make a note of, and I do it in shorthand, some of it in shorthand, but it makes sense to me. So VPS, only 1 win in 5 would be the first thing I would note here. Only 1 win in 5. That just tells us about their momentum, doesn't it? It's lacking. We've had some teams with real momentum coming into a match, but not exactly favourite, and they still perform well. Tromsø, prime example. So we've already got a spot of bother. Both teams have scored in 4 of the last 5 matches as well. I do have a look at this column here, particularly for big numbers before half-time and for recent nil-nils. We've had a couple of them. So I wouldn't be necessarily focusing too much on the goals before half-time for them, but you look here as well for HJK, 3 before half-time, 2 before half-time, 1 before half-time. If this lot clicked today, we might be seeing a goal before half-time. I look down at the streaks and sequences, nothing outstanding for the home side. I don't do a comparison. First goal leading and trailing could give us a trading angle. For example, if this lot are scoring first, if opponents are scoring first, but they've only had 1 loss at home, that suggests they're good at equalising, that kind of thing. HJK tend to score first away from home, but I do look at the home side first. That's why I'm focusing on the left-hand side of the screen. Challenge table will tell us 3 wins against the top 5. There is potential for VPS. That's something I'll note down here. 3 wins be the top 5. So potential. I also look at their league position, 6th in the league. Make a note of that, because you've just seen in the previous match, you've got a top 4 clash. That could tell us it's a match potentially to avoid. Scoring wise, they've failed to score that second goal, haven't they, in all home matches against the top 10. Failed to score. Second goal, all home, the top 10. Important to note, because if they score first today, are they really going to follow up with a second against a red hot HJK? Looking at the overs, particularly interested if over 3.5 goals is a big number, because that can be a big confidence booster to your over 2.5 goal search. And I go down here all the way to the goal times table, see if there's anything outstanding here. Well, 4 goals conceded in the last 15 minutes at home. Last 15 mins at home. First half. 1H first half home. So that tells me when I do my conclusion, they might be vulnerable right at the end of the first half. So if it's 0-0 coming up to the 30th minute and you can get decent enough odds, this lot have been scoring for fun. They might land a blow, but you can see this lot away do their best work at the end. That's all I really look for. So I will move on to the away team now. And we'll note something already. They're doing a bit of a KUPS, aren't they? 2 consecutive defeats, something we have to make note of. Very unlike a recently red-hot HJK Helsinki. The KUPS one, well, they were caught by a side on the bounce, but the Jarrow one, we could have taken on that Desmond 2-2 late on. It looks like Sissoko was the pain for HJK. So 2 consecutive defeats. Now you look at the last time they had 2 consecutive defeats, they finished with a 3rd consecutive defeat. Is that really going to happen today? So you have to ask yourself whether you can trade against that. Scored first in 5 of 7, so that's important. So if you think they're vulnerable today and they score first, that could be your trading angle, couldn't it? And notably, away from home, all 3 defeats have come against the top 4. All 3 away defeats beat the top 4. Now you know why I took VPS's league position earlier on. Okay, we know it's a top 6 clash now. We need to check the challenge table to make sure that these sides have coped with fellow top 6s, but they haven't. They're collecting a large proportion of defeats, aren't they? Bit of a gap in form here. Start scoring the 3+ goals against 9th and lower. Is that going to continue against 6th? That's the question. Looking at the goals scoring, and you can see 17% over 3.5 goals, 33% over 2.5 goals. Very poor stuff. So we're incongruous. 33% overs v 71% overs. 71% overs. So incongruous. We don't know which way this match is going to go. We know that the home side had trouble scoring that 2nd goal. That could be my trading angle into this pre-match. But of course, it's the in-play stats where everything occurs. You can see 8 goals scored in the last half hour. Bang. 8 goals scored last half hour. So they have some bite, HJK, don't they? You can see that quite clearly. If they're going to get themselves out of jail, it's likely to be the last half hour. So now I move on to the angles. What did I see here? We've got a VPS. My first point to note, failing to score that 2nd goal at home via the top 10. So VPS failing to score that 2nd goal via the top 10 could see them label if leading, particularly if HJ, and I've got my cage not working, so excuse me for a second. I'll get the keyboard back up. Here we go, HJK. Particularly if HJK, so could 2nd goal against the top 10 could see them layable if leading, particularly if HJK turn up with their goals. HJK do have a 2-match losing run to end. That's also an important angle as well, psychologically. Have a 2-match losing run to put to an end. Could be a redemption match, this, couldn't it? Neutral play. Well, I would lay any late draw potentially if the away side's late goals, if the away side's late goals pattern continues. Makes sense, doesn't it? 8 goals scored in the last half hour. The problem I have is they're not the best, either of these two, against fellow top 5, top 6. So that's the research there for Finland. You had a quick look through. Sligo Rovers against Shamrock Rovers. No need for me to desert Shamrock Rovers against Sligo Rovers, who've just had an awful, awful season. They are all over the shop. In what is a busy day, we've got the Norwegian Elite Serien as well. Any standout performers there? Well, Viking, expecting 3 or 4 goals from them today with home advantage, vying for the title this season, Viking. Bodo Glimt have not been their usual selves. Let's have a look at some patterns for some of these matches. So some quick snippets. Brann, 100% wins against teams around HamKam in the league. That, again, very generous odds. I think the market makers in Norway and Sweden can get it wrong, and you can take on, particularly when you've got good research. I've taken on quite a few of these outsiders because I thought they'd win, and they did go on and win, likes of Gaias, G-A-I-S. Viking and Stroms, as I say, 3 to 5 goals are expected of Viking today. That fits in with a 1.25 quote, and it does also fit in with the potential for a goal before half time. But you did see with Inter Turku the other day, you have to react to what's happening in play. If Viking don't have any shots on target, then they're not going to score before half time, are they? So you have to be flexible. Inter Turku had no shots on target for 50, 60 minutes at 1.17 at home. So you've got to be flexible. I say 1.25 is 3-0, 3-1 any other home because that's what usually happens at those odds. That's why the bookmakers price them like that. But we have to be flexible. If they don't turn up, they don't turn up. Falaranga and Fred looks one to avoid. Well, I look at the challenge table and Fred only tend to fall foul against the top 4. So yet again, they're given more of a chance than 3.4 suggests for me. That's why I do my research and I can disagree with the market makers. Context, losing generally speaking against the top 4. That's the reason for their poor form. If that continues, of course, they've got a good chance outside the top 4. Kristiansund and Bodo Glimt, 3-0, 4-0 wins against top 3, and then all of the other wins for Bodo Glimt congregating against the bottom 5. It's unimpressive early season form. A touch of untrustworthy about the 1.36 shots today, so I would be very cautious of lumping on Bodo Glimt at the moment. They're yet another one of the big guns having a bit of a malaise. You've seen in Finland, KUPS suddenly, wheels falling off, Bodo Glimt possibly as well. Tromsø, they do have an exceptional unbeaten record. Has it stuck? Let's have a look. 6 consecutive wins coming into that, 100% wins against 10th and lower. The problem with Molde, and we might need Scully to help us out here. It's a bit of an X-file, this one. Molde, 3 wins in 4 away, but couldn't pick their own nose at home. Strange. So Molde are not discounted today. Momentum-wise, you're with Tromsø. Challenge table, you're with Tromsø. But Molde, 3 wins and 4 away. Completely different animal away from home. It's the home support too pressured this season for them. So watch out for an unexpectedly good performance from Molde. But you can't discount Tromsø's electric form of late. Gaias and Malmo, 2.6 the favourite. I will give this short shrift. I think if you can get into the habit of taking these matches in play, rather inevitably with a 2.6 the favourite, what's going to happen is I'll come to the conclusions that I don't have any conclusions. And I could have come up to that conclusion by looking at the odds. Oster and Mjølby, we've got a 1.73 away favourite. I think Mjølby are there or thereabouts at the top, aren't they? Let's have a look. Top of the tree, Mjølby, so automatically getting our attention in this match. Both teams to score is a very strong trend for both of these two teams, and certainly it would fit in to take Oster on if Oster were to score first. Hammarby against Värnamo. It should be a hammering for Värnamo today. Let's have a look. 3 out of 4 wins recently for Hammarby, but Värnamo are on the improve despite having an awful season. They are picking up draws. 4 draws in 5. No win yet this season for Värnamo, but on the improve. Hammarby had better be on their game today at 1.4. Don't be complacent because this lot picking up score draws does suggest that Värnamo might not be able to hold on to a lead. So I'll wrap this video up. It's going quite long because it's a busy, busy day. We haven't even looked at today's tennis yet properly, but I'll give that a miss. Watch out for Marin Cilic. Still odds on favourite today. De Minaur layable at 1.07. Sinner layable at 1.01. Djokovic layable at 1.03. Playing a fellow countryman as well, I think. So that gives us even more ammunition to take on Novak Djokovic at such short odds. Could be very, very competitive. 1.1 Alexandrova stands out for the ladies. Looking at the Brits, any Brits left? Well, we don't see any British flags today, which is a pity. The ladies Wimbledon. Have a great day today. I will see members of footballtradingprofits.com throughout the day for what is your usual busy Saturday coupon. Possible 1 o'clock start, moving into the 2 o'clocks in the Allsvenskan and the 3 o'clocks in the Vikhouse Liga. So I will be on hand from 1 p.m. for members. Have a great day.